Alrighty then, let's get started. All right, how's Ace usually? I don't know. I'm not even gonna try to do what Ace does. All right, and we're ready at 3, 2.
How long did Cody have that queued up to play?
It's 30 seconds. I was like, hopefully it doesn't count down or something like that.
Welcome everybody to the 63 episodes of the 63rd episode of the Meaning of Podcast. No Ace here. This is RB3, joined by our very own.
Oh, sorry to cut you off.
No. Go ahead.
Beardo, Brian, whatever you want to call me. How's it going, man?
Hey, man. All right, welcome to the Meaning of Podcast. As a guest, we have previously had on the honors of Cody and Copster.
Yeah.
JT as well.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, so you're also welcome to the plethora. Also, my buddy Cade from USC.
Oh, yeah,
so, yeah. You're joining us.
What did Cade do? What was that topic?
He talked Judd Apatow. Judd Apatow is his favorite director. So,
nice.
Yeah, we just did a short comedy episode.
I listened to the Copster one. He did a Harry Potter series.
Yeah, Harry Potter.
What about Cody? What did that guy do?
Cody was in our Spike Jones.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's an honor having you here, Brian. Our goal was to have all of the Wengers on eventually. So I think we're completing the saga. We're also trying to get. I mean, I don't know. Alex is not officially part of the Wenger crew, but
He is not.
But we're trying to get him on too. You guys obviously are all Collider Live crew people together.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Cool
Yeah.
guy, super cool guy.
He watches a ton of movies. You follow him online?
Oh yeah.
On Instagram, like every day is a new movie with him.
Yeah. Well, he watches like all the modern releases. Like he'll see. I think he said he saw something like 100-something movies this year or something.
This
like
year?
That. Yeah. Crazy, man.
Yeah.
So he definitely have a lot to put into. But I hit you up for an episode, and you asked if we had done the Coen Brothers before.
Yeah.
And to which we hadn't, but we have been getting a number of requests to do the Coen Brothers recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
for some reason I thought you guys did already, but like that's not your guys' thing, or what? You're not a Coen Brothers guy?
Well, no, I'm a Coen Brothers guy. See, it's a little harder when we do like classic directors because, for one, we kind of want to be prepared on the larger filmographies, and we kind of have to figure out how we're going to split them up into one part, if we're going to do two parts, if we're going to try and squish them all together. Recently we did like a Michael Mann episode that wasn't like as, I feel like, fruitful because I feel like we tried to cram so much into one thing, and we just kind of had to skip through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so you like to take your time with stuff?
Yeah, take our time, man. I mean, we haven't done Scorsese yet. We haven't done Francis Ford Coppola yet. Those are just directors that we feel like we have to give the respect to.
And Hitchcock too. You want to do Hitchcock?
Yeah, Hitchcock. See, I'm just finished my Hitchcock class that I've been in like this entire semester. So now I feel ready. Like I have the full scope of Hitchcock's filmography.
Have you done Kubrick?
We have not done Kubrick either.
I'd be down to do Kubrick.
Be down to do Kubrick.
Yeah,
I mean, Kubrick would probably have to be like a party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always struggle with Kubrick because like every movie can have like its own episode.
That's
like,
true.
Basically,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can write papers on like just 2001 or on Dr. Strangelove or anything.
Yeah. But see, I feel like Coen Brothers was dope because you obviously liked it. I've been on a recent Coen Brothers kick, like just kind of minor kick of them recently, and I just really enjoy what they have to say, and I think their movies, even though they're kind of a mixture of like dark and serious, but like also kind of funny, they also have a lot to say about the world too. So, that's the Coens.
Yeah, I think you're the only other guy I know that has seen A Serious Man.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite like Coen Brothers movies ever.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to expect watching that movie, and then after that movie was done, I didn't know how to process it. So like stuff like that, like I like movies like that where you're just like, what the fuck did I just watch? And then you go back and you watch it again and you can pick up a lot more.
Yeah. No, A Serious Man is in particular, I feel like is like probably like one of their most like, I guess
like critically lauded films. Or
it received the acclaim, but it didn't like. I feel like it didn't get in the face of everybody in the same way that something like No Country for Old Men did and all those other films. But that movie is so crazy and like I feel like like awful. Like every bad thing that can happen does happen in that film.
Well, it's based on the Book of Job, right?
Yeah.
Where like God tests the guy's like faith.
Yeah, faith.
So it's like based on that. I don't want to get into that because that's later on.
We're gonna do that. So this is how we're gonna do Coen Brothers, everybody. So we're gonna do a part 1 episode. This is the part 1, episode 63, and episode 64 is gonna be a part 2, where we're also gonna talk more about Coen's. We're gonna do this one focus primarily on the debut from Blood Simple all the way to The Big Lebowski, which is 1998, and then we're gonna carry on in part 2 from like 2000s Oh Brother Where Art Thou to their most recent Buster Scruggs.
Did you finish it?
I didn't get around to finishing it. Yeah.
It's tough to finish.
Yeah. I mean the anthology aspect makes it really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but before we fully jump into the Coen Brothers conversation, we usually like to take a few comments from last week's show.
What was last week's show?
Last week we talked about James Wan, director of Saw, Insidious, The Conjuring. Pretty big horror aficionado. And we had some pretty good amount of comments here. I don't usually read comments, so this is a new thing for me. But yeah, let me pick out something here. One that I found interesting that the homie Chris Robertson wrote, he says, I take a little offense to y'all dismissing Saw, and a lot of the horror movement of the 2000s is torture porn. It's cool if you're not a fan of horror movies, but the blatant disregard of an entire movement that actually had a lot to say, both socially and politically during the time of release is irresponsible to me. Besides that, it was interesting hearing people talk about James Wan's career, who looking at the horror genre from the outside. Really enjoyed the conversation, guys. So what Chris kind of referring to is like last week we kind of talked about Saw, and then Ace kind of made the point. I guess I mean I contributed to it too, but I don't know.
Did you guys bash Saw?
No, we didn't. I don't think we bashed Saw. I only saw Saw like once, so I didn't really have a lot to say about it.
Okay.
The Ace kind of made the point that he thinks that movie kind of influenced the whole torture porn, like upheaval, like
what influenced what else?
Like all the Eli Roth stuff, all of the Human Centipede, like all of those like brutal like torture porn like movies. Ace said that like because Saw was so great that it spawned an entire movement in horror that was pretty shitty.
But you can't fault the movie for that. You can't fault James Wan for that movement. Like he just wanted to make a good movie.
Yeah. And I think I don't know. Again, like when I said like last week too, I don't really know like torture porn all that much. I don't really know about horror movies all that much in general because I didn't really grow up on it. But I know that was a big thing.
But the first one wasn't really like that brutal from what I remember.
It's not. It's
only
not.
Later on when like
it
they
gets
just
worse.
Yeah, they just start like their ideas start becoming like how can we develop like a crazier trap for people to like cut their wrists on.
Right.
But the first one was just like he literally just had to like cut his leg off or something.
Yeah.
But did James Wan direct that one?
Yeah, he directed the very first one.
Oh, I thought someone else did.
Yeah. He did the first, and that's what's crazy about James Wan. He literally directed the first Saw movie, first two Insidious movies, and that became a whole like 5-film franchise.
I love The Conjuring.
Yeah, Conjuring 2, and then now it's like literally spinoff after spinoff.
The Nun.
Yeah,
Did you watch The Nun?
Annabelle. Yeah, I saw The Nun. Yeah.
What'd you think about The Nun?
I don't know, man. Hey, it's all right. I mean, I can't really. I don't know. I don't really know how to quantify horror movies, honestly.
No, that movie is garbage. Because like, there's good movies like The Conjuring and Insidious are pretty well done, and Hereditary are like well made and well written.
I haven't seen Hereditary.
Hereditary's good.
Yeah.
But The Nun was just it's a cheap cash grab. It's barely like an hour and a half long.
Yeah,
it's just like,
it was boring. It was pretty. I didn't. I always kind of have a hard time with movies that kind of have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
That was definitely a movie of like that for me.
Or like you didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah. And The Nun, like I pretty much had no idea what the story was like.
But there wasn't really like a story. It was like, okay, we get here, then this happens, and this happens, and now this is gonna happen. It's just like them reacting to like events happening to them.
Yeah.
But no real substance to whatever is going on in the movie.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But salute to James Wan, salute to Saw. Torture porn. I did think about this after we finished the episode, though. I didn't think about it during the episode, but afterwards I did think about how the whole idea of torture kind of became a trivial thing in politics during the 2000s too, because the whole like war in Afghanistan and Iraq and all that stuff, and how that kind of maybe permeated a little bit into our ideas of torture and stuff like that. I think that's what he's talking about socially and politically. I mean, there's obviously other things that I'm probably not privy to because I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, yeah, it came out in 2004, so it's probably written around 2002, maybe earlier, yeah.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I apologize for ignoring that. Again, I just didn't think about, like, any of this torture porn because I don't really...
You're just not a horror guy?
I was not... I mean, I like horror. Like, if like, for example, if there's a list of the 100 greatest horror movies of all time, I've probably seen a good amount of those, you know?
Oh, really?
But I just don't, like, actively, like, I'm not going to rush to a movie theater to see a horror movie.
Oh, but you like the new Halloween, though.
I did like the new Halloween.
Yeah. What about but you like the original better?
I like the original. I mean, I like the original a lot. I mean, we talked about John Carpenter on this with Cops as well, and I think the first one was a really great like independent horror film. The second, I mean, this new one is more of a blown out.
Yeah,
I kind of say it's like the Force Awakens to the Star Wars.
That's what we're getting a lot these days of just like reboots with like sequels at the same time.
Right. Just ignore the old bad ones.
Yeah.
But see, like I will watch Halloween because a lot of people say Halloween is great, but I've never made the effort to see Halloween 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, me neither.
Yeah. So that's just kind of like my place. Like I've seen The Exorcist, Shining, like all of the big general ones that people talk about.
Do you like The Shining?
I do like The Shining.
Really?
I enjoy The Shining a lot.
We had this debate on the Wanger Show yesterday that Copster and myself, we don't really care for The Shining.
Oh, really?
But Cody loves it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know. We just talked about like stuff kind of just happens, but there's no really like character development in that movie. But like that's kind of all Kubrick's stuff. Like it's more visual and spectacle and more cerebral, I guess, as opposed to just like a general, just like a story. Yeah.
Structure. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I can still watch it, but it's not like my top like horror movie, I guess.
Right. I mean, it was definitely like I feel like I appreciate it on more levels than like I actually love it, I guess. But then I will say I did end up like reading up on. To me, I find The Shining most fascinating because of the conspiracy theories behind it.
Did you watch Room 237?
Room 237.
The documentary?
Yeah,
that shit's crazy.
Yeah, I love it. I love that shit. See, shit like that, I'm like, so I guess through proximity of that makes me like The Shining more.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, this is fascinating.
Some of those theories are pretty like, some are valid a little bit, but some are just like insane.
Yeah.
Where like, someone said if you put the movie at like 50% transparency and play it on top of each other backwards and
backwards,
and shit lines up, you're like, okay, like the Indian lines up with like the tomato juice or whatever.
Yeah.
Like no, like Kubrick was not doing that.
Yeah. That's silly. Well, also I think that theory is kind of just flawed in the sense of like the whole idea of filmmaking is supposed to be reflexive from like structure standpoint too. Like the beginning is supposed to match the end, like in the story structure.
Yeah.
So that's just a flawed argument to be like, if you put them on top of each other, of course they're going to be similar images, you know?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like in every movie, kind of like bookends the beginning.
Yeah, and exactly. You know, like a lot of movies start with the eye, end with the eye. I mean, that's kind of the movie trope. You know? That's kind of the idea that I think most movies kind of adhere to. So that theory is like kind of stupid to me. But
what about the moon landing theory?
Moon landing, I believe, 100%.
That he faked the moon landing?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It is kind of trippy though, because like when you watch 2001 now, you're like, holy shit, they made that in 1969.
Yeah.
Or 68 or whenever it came out.
Yeah.
And it's just the effects are incredible, and you're like, this kind of looks like the moon landing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like before.
Yeah. So I don't know, but Ace gave me a hard time on our Damien Giselle episode, and I mentioned that.
The moon landing?
Yeah, because we talked about First Man.
Review. I still haven't seen that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I liked it a lot. Yeah. I really liked it, but of course, it's not completely true, I think.
You think it's a fictional story?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we really got out there, but hey.
You think they're still like going along with that story?
Still trying to push that narrative of us getting to the moon. Come on, man. I ain't buying it. I'm not buying it. All right, let me take like one more comment here. What franchise would you guys like James Wan to do next, or would you want him to do more original movies in different genres? That's a great question from Alex the Great. Alex the Great asked that. I don't want to see him do any more franchises.
Yeah.
I kind of just want to see him do original stuff. And like I liked when he did the action thing for Fast and Furious.
Oh yeah, was it Fast 7?
Yeah, Furious 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great
yeah.
film.
Yeah.
But of course, like he kind of disowns it too. So like I don't know, like
He disowned that movie?
yeah, kind of. Yeah,
What do you
to
mean?
some extent. Like we just says it like they kind of tampered with it. Like it was very studio driven, you know.
Yeah, well, it is
because
like
the
a
whole-
$300 million movie.
Yeah, and then plus the Paul Walker thing, you know, like all of that stuff. Like,
Oh, that was the one that happened at the end.
yeah.
And they kind of just like, Oh, I forgot that he did that movie.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a complicated shoot. I'm assuming, like, the entire process was just too complicated. So I mean, I don't know. I've never read a direct quote where he says like, I don't like this movie, but there have been reports of him like, not,
really?
Like, yeah.
I wonder what he's thinking about Aquaman. Have you seen Aquaman yet?
I've seen Aquaman.
Yeah. Are you excited to see it?
I mean, honestly, no, because I just don't like the whole DC thing. Like now, you know.
Just like the whole universe in general?
Yeah, I just don't like. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, even though like the Zack Snyder dark bullshit was like stupid, like it's still better than like giving us more generic cookie cutter superhero movies, you know?
Oh, you think the Aquaman looks like kind of generic?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I like the trailers for it, but at the same time, it's like, damn, man. I like Batman v Superman. Like as shitty as it was like it did have something. You know what I mean? Like
There's
it was
something-
dark. It had like some style. You know, like
There's something in there. There was a good movie in there somewhere, but
Yeah.
like it just wasn't.
they're trying to address like something thematically. You know, I just feel like now it's like it's just like Wonder. I mean, Wonder Woman is cool, I guess.
Yeah.
But Justice League, and I don't know. It's
No,
like,
Justice League was trash.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I'm not.
Yeah,
liking it.
I've seen the trailers for Aquaman. It just looks like a CGI fest.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm not into that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hear mixed things about it. So
Yeah, I mean, I hear some good, some bad. I mean, I again, like, you can only hope for like so much. I feel like from like DC at this point.
right now,
Like,
Yeah.
they're really trying to get the Marvel thing, and Marvel's killing it. So big salute to Marvel. But let's jump into the Coen Brothers, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna hop into their filmography, which I feel like they have one of the most eclectic filmographies of any directors ever.
it's so varied and diverse. It's like you can like watch a movie and be like, oh, it's a Coen Brothers movie, but some of them like you don't even know that they directed it.
Yeah, and and they have such a variety of like tones. It's like, how do you know who? Like, how do you know like who's the mind behind this? Or
Yeah.
is there like a certain like idea that they're trying to get at here, or throughout their films or something like that? Like,
Oh, like they're presenting like or like satirizing something.
yeah. Like, because I feel like one of my biggest things with the Coen Brothers, why I appreciate them the most, is that the characters that they create, the world that they create, kind of feels over the top, feels
Yeah.
very like fantastical.
Yeah, it's definitely like a send up of whatever genre they're doing.
Yeah. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like they try to create like this like naturalism, like this kind of like
Yeah.
friendly kind of vibe to everybody that.
That's what I like about them is that like they try. Excuse me. Even if like they don't hit the mark all the time, like
Yeah.
they try to go like kind of batshit crazy.
Yeah.
And they're not doing the same thing twice, as
Right.
far as I know. If they'd done like a sequel or anything,
Right.
but it's all original. It's all based on like past literature and like biblical references and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they go for like an original story where like you don't really see that.
Yeah. Everyone, their stories do something different, but you know they have been accused to some extent of like of kind of repeating tropes for I guess not tropes, but their level of surprise, the way that they try and throw audiences off.
Like they're repeating themselves.
Yeah, like how they kind of repeat the same kind of, not same kind of beats, but
Yeah.
like you definitely see like the random murder happens at some point in the Coen Brothers
Yeah.
movie, you know, and it just kind of like, oh, like that's just what they are. That's, you know.
Even in Buster Scruggs, what part did you finish, or did you get up to?
I think I got all the way up until was that Nick Nolte?
No, it was. I thought it was Nick Nolte too. The gold.
Yeah, the gold mining. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it was Tom Waits.
Tom Waits. Okay.
I think that's what the name I remember seeing. But so did you finish that one or no?
Yeah, I finished that one. Yeah.
Okay, so there's like at the end. Can we spoil stuff or no?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think. Well, yeah. So I'll just put like a spoiler thing right here for Buster Scruggs.
Well, for that one, he gets shot, but then he fakes dying.
Yeah,
and then he
he comes back and shoots the other guy.
Yeah, and that happens in a different story in Buster Scruggs, but I don't know if you're there yet.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
But yeah. So like even like within that, they kind of repeat their same like steps and tropes and stuff.
Right. Well, I think their overarching kind of ideas throughout their films is kind of the idea of misconception, right, or misperception. Like we could perceive something as like one way, and like we like Fargo, we see like this nice, loving family, not family, but like. Just nice, loving community.
Yeah.
Of just like Midwestern nice people. But like underneath the surface is like this whole plot of murder and bribery and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and it's like just told in a darkly funny way.
Yeah. So we're gonna get to Fargo soon. But first, let's hop into their first film, Blood Simple. That is stars Frances McDormand. Which is their first feature debut and also one of the first ones that broke Frances McDormand into the spotlight.
Was it 1984?
1984. Yeah. And it's a thriller, which kind of goes on to inform a lot of their filmography going forward. And it also establishes the whole idea of like the domestic misperception, like the husband, the cheating husband, or I'm sorry, the cheating wife, using, getting an investigator to, you know what I mean, like, or I'm sorry, the husband getting an investigator to figure out what's happening with his wife.
Oh,
like,
okay.
You know what I mean?
And it kind of happens in Fargo too.
Yeah.
Where like he hired. Or the woman cop is like investigating the family.
Right. So it's just like all the turmoil within inside the domestic home front. You watched this one pretty recently, right?
Yeah, I saw it last week because like I've been on a Coen Brothers kick too since like we talked about doing this, and I haven't seen Blood Simple.
Yeah,
I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah,
this is a first movie. I like seeing like directors' first movies because then you can see like how they started.
Right.
And you're like, okay, like it might not be like the best movie, but their trademarks are there and like their style is there. And this one, it's definitely independent and it's really slow, but it's still good and it's still got something there where you're like, okay, like I want to see what these guys do next.
Yeah, and I feel like they established such a distinct voice because I mean this is one of their many movies that takes place in like the Midwest, like era, like.
What?
If I'm not mistaken.
No, this one was in Texas, I think.
Oh, Texas, yeah. Well, I mean, like Middle America, just kind of in general.
Is Texas Midwest? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know geography.
I actually have no idea. I'm probably just gonna keep saying Midwest just to refer to anything outside of California and New York.
No, because they're from Minnesota.
They're from Minnesota.
That's north.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't
Texas
know.
is way south. So I guess southern. I guess that is southern. Southern state, but they often adapt the aesthetic of like the untraditional Hollywood route of like the Middle America portrayals.
And just desolate areas, like a vast open space. They do it again with Fargo, but it's all snowy. But with Blood Simple, it's just like highways for miles. And the scene where he's crawling on the highway, or can we spoil this one?
Yeah, we spoil everything. I mean, I think people understand if we're going to talk about the directors, we got to talk about these movies, right? So
yeah, but I like that. I think I read that that's how they pitched the movie. They shot it with Bruce Campbell.
Oh, really?
That scene where the husband gets shot and he's just crawling on the highway.
Right.
They shot kind of like a teaser just to sell the movie, and then they didn't even cast Bruce Campbell as the guy.
Ah, damn.
But no, that shot is crazy because it's like it happens in real time, and he's just like crawling. You're like, is this guy really gonna make it? And he's got nowhere to go,
right?
Because he's out in the middle of nowhere, and he's shot in the gut, so he's gonna die,
right?
But it's just stuff like that. I'm like, wow, like there's like that guy's trying, but it's just not happening.
Right. I feel like a lot of the Coen brothers filmography revolves around people who really want to do the right thing at heart, or really strive to do what they feel is like gonna help them survive or help them like prosper in life. But that ultimately ends up being their ultimate downfall. And I think like this is kind of like one of the prime examples of that.
Yeah. Was he shot with his own gun, or was it the wife's gun? I don't remember.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
But I mean, that sounds like. But that's consistent with what the Coen brothers is, right? Like,
yeah,
they I feel like their whole overarching theme is like that you lie in the grave that you dig, you know?
Yeah.
And
because he started it with like the husband started with this violence where he hired a private investigator to kill the cheating wife and her lover.
Right.
But then it ends up turning on him, and like just because he started it, he's the one that gets killed.
Right. So it's just I feel like that's. I mean, I feel like that's why I take the most from Blood Simple is just kind of like how it establishes that overarching theme that they have throughout their films, and also the perspective that they come from, because they're from the Midwest, but they went to NYU film school, so they obviously have a very defined a sense of cinema. And
they're smart guys. They're just like the other one went to. I think Joel went to NYU. Ethan went to Princeton.
Oh, okay.
They're just like scholarly, like super smart guys. I feel like
Right.
I wouldn't even want to meet them because like I'm just like a big dummy like talking to these guys who just like read like all day.
Philosophy and all this stuff.
That's what they apply to their films, though. That's what I like, 'cause, like the biblical references in A Serious Man and like all this other stuff. Like it's just like heavy stuff in a movie,
Right.
and that's what I like.
Yeah.
And can I say about Blood Simple? I feel like with the Coen brothers, they kind of they come up with an idea and they build a movie around it. I feel like I think I heard about that with A Serious Man. We'll talk about that later. But with Blood Simple, I feel like the whole movie was just like a punchline for the very end.
Yeah, I feel like they.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like this whole story like kind of unfolds and unwinds and everything. It takes forever, and just because like the Coen brothers just like have that dark humor, like they seem like huge stoners that just like have this sick sense of humor. Where at the end, where the wife thinks the husband's still alive, and she thinks because she's fighting the private investigator behind a wall, so she thinks she's shooting at the husband, and then she actually does shoot him, and then Francis McDormand's like, I know you're in there, Kevin, or whatever the husband's name is, and then the private investigator just laughs like hysterically. He's like, you think I'm your husband, and he thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. I feel like that was just like the punchline of the movie.
Right.
Like that's what Coen brothers do. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like that's what I took away from that movie. I'm like, really? Like you fucking assholes like took me through this whole journey just to like throw this punchline at the very end. I loved it.
No, I think that's a big part of it. I feel like they build up to what they're trying to say overall. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the whole point of that ending is just to be like, oh, like nobody is who they say they are, or nobody thinks. You know, the idea of you have of somebody is not who they actually are. You know, the idea that they appear to be is not who they actually are. So I just feel like that. Yeah, that definitely lands like towards the end.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's working on so many deep levels.
Yeah, I like it. That was the first movie that I think they went door to door financing it. And
Really?
That's what I read, but you don't know like how much is true or not.
Yeah.
They had like pretty rich
Especially
parents.
in the 80s. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like their parents were like professors at some colleges, so they probably got some money.
Yeah.
But still, like good for them. Like they made something good.
Yeah, no, salute to the Coen brothers for getting that off. But I think the next movie is really what kind of put them on the map, on the mainstream to some extent, which is Raising Arizona. Raising Arizona, of course, stars like Nicolas Cage, Holly Hunter, and it's a film about an ex-convict who gets out of jail for like robbing a bunch of people like multiple times, like, and he ends up befriending a former cop who and they just end up just taking, like, you know, they can't have kids together, so they I don't know, so they end up just I guess it's kidnapping, or
Yeah.
is it,
Well, have you seen it?
yeah.
Well, what I liked about that movie is like they set up a whole backstory within like 10 minutes of the beginning.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, they just set up like Nicolas Cage, he goes to jail over and over again. He takes the same headshot with Holly Hunter over and over again, and he meets her at different stages of her life. Like she goes through a divorce, or she doesn't get married with some guy. So then Nicolas Cage is like, "Oh, just wait for me. I'll come back for you." And then like they end up falling in love. And then they try to conceive. She can't conceive a child, and he can't adopt because he's been in prison so many times.
Right.
So then they see on the news that this couple had 5 kids,
Right.
quintuplets. So, and then they joke, they're like, "Oh, it's too many for us to handle." And they're like, "Well, we'll take one for you."
Right.
And then they end up like kidnapping it and then
Right.
trying to raise it as their own.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I do question. I mean, I guess when I say, is it really a kidnapping? Because does the original parents like even really care? Like,
Oh,
like,
do they care? Well, no, the mom I think goes into like hysterics and then like kind of leaves.
yeah.
I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, but then also, but it's just like at the same time, you also already have this whole multitude of other children.
Oh,
like,
so you're saying like should they care because they already have 4 other kids?
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
like,
it's still their child though.
I mean, yeah, that's too many.
Too many all at once.
I can't even imagine having like more than like three children.
Yeah, and they had
in
them all
general.
at the same age too.
Yeah. No, that's nasty. But on a serious note, though, I think this movie. I think this movie's really dope, and I think this movie gave introduction to their more comedic sensibilities. Because Nick Cage character, he's a clown, yo. He's just a clown. What's his name? McDougal?
His name's High.
High. Yeah. They call him High.
Yeah. H-I.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know what it stands for, but I don't know his last name. I just remember like call me High.
Yeah. It's just so stupid that like I don't know. To me, the whole premise of this movie revolving around the idea of not being able to conceive children. So then like taking it's kind of like taking adoption to your own hands because of the way that the criminal justice system won't let you
Like how you are
adopt.
at this place in your life.
Yeah,
where, like,
yeah.
You've done some stuff in your past where like you can't adopt right now.
Yeah.
And for some reason.
So it's like even when you want to do better with your life, even when you want to like have a productive like thing to take care of, they're not going to let you do that.
Yeah, but see, like he says he does though, but then he goes again and robs the convenience store again. So like he can't not do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the biggest thing about Nick Cage's character is just being like incredibly flawed. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't. I feel like I feel like he fits into the Coen Brothers archetype of just being like the incredibly dumb, like male lead.
Yeah.
Same way that like George Clooney is in like everyone.
Oh, yeah,
is of the roles or whatever.
And Burn After Reading with Brad Pitt.
Burn After Reading. Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like Nick Cage is like an extension of that.
He's like this movie. It was like a live action cartoon.
Yeah.
Because I saw it a week ago for the first time too, and I'm like, oh, like it's a cartoon. These characters are just like they're all archetypes. They're all like jokey and all that, but it's I don't know. Like it is the Coen Brothers just being slapstick, like doing slapstick.
Right.
Like literally, like Holly Hunter slaps Nick Cage and he like does a cross-eyed face to the camera, and it's just funny. Like that's. I feel like this is a more general comedy as opposed to like something like Fargo or something.
Right. And I mean, I think that's why I really connected with people, and I think it kind of established the wacky kind of tone that the Coen Brothers kind of sought to achieve in a lot of their later films.
And John, I don't know if it was their first, or I guess it was their first one with John Goodman. So that set up that
John
relationship.
Goodman, that's right. He played Gel, is that his name?
I forget the name, but they literally break out of prison like through the shit tank, and it's like a funny scene too because like it's just a shot, another like vast open space. It's just a shot of mud, and like his head shows up in the mud, and then he gets out, and then he pulls his buddy by the leg outside.
I feel like this movie has so many like over the top moments.
Yeah,
and it ended up being. I think his legacy even ended up outstaying not overstaying his welcome, but even extends into today. Like I remember they had that show Raising Hope. I think it was on Fox or whatever.
Oh, is that based on that?
Well, I think it was kind of the same idea. Like they take a kid that like I guess like they just found. I think they just found it in that show. But yeah, and it's just about like two wacky parents like trying to raise that. So it's just funny that I think that this overarching thing kind of ended up just reaching and connecting to today's generation too.
Yeah, I think it still kind of stands up today. Like I just
Yeah.
saw it a week ago, and it's still funny.
Yeah.
And just the filmmaking behind it too. It's their second movie too, and they have like crazy shots in it.
Yeah.
There's a whole chase sequence for like 20 minutes, and then once Nicolas Cage goes into the home and like it follows him with like a camera or like a steady cam or something,
Yeah.
and it's just like frenetic and just like back and
Yeah.
forth. I was like, holy shit, this is really good.
That's one of my favorite moments. I feel like the energy that they brought to this film kind of elevated a lot more, especially compared to Blood Simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna mention that scene as being one of my favorites. I also love the scene. Oh God. I love the scene like early on when like they first like meet each other, like the actual dialogue like between
who meets
between
him?
Hai and the chick
Ed?
Ed, yeah.
Yeah.
Like when they first meet each other, I think they're just like quirky, like weird, like sensibilities just kind of like bounce off of each other in like a really like ironic way.
That's
And-
what. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just think it just kind of highlights like again like the nice facade that all the characters kind of put on for each other.
That's what I like about Coen Brothers movies, because like they have. It seems like everyone in their world is witty.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're all fast talking, like all like come up with like something. Because like when Nick Cage is like applying for parole, and then the guys are like, "Are you telling us the truth, or you don't tell us the truth?" Or they're saying, "Don't lie to us, tell us the truth." He's like, "I am telling you the truth. Don't tell us what we want to hear. I am telling you the truth." And then it's like, "Well, we want to hear that, no, but I'm telling you." It's like back and forth, and it's just like great.
Right.
It's
right.
that's the kind of like, and it's just quick too. That's the kind of dialogue I like.
Yeah. No, it's a good time, man. It's a good time. Moving on from Raising Arizona, though, the next one was Miller's Crossing. I haven't seen this one in a long time.
I didn't catch that one.
Yeah, it's essentially it's another back to one of their darker films. It's about the Prohibition era. Like it's about a crime boss named Tim Reagan, and he there's basically it's basically about the whole Prohibition era, like the whole ban against alcohol and how like the mobsters kind of ended up rising to the top.
Okay.
And it follows this one particular mobster who's kind of trying to make peace between like these two warring like
gangs?
Yeah, gangs. Yeah, gangs. Mob organizations. So I mean, I won't have much to add like detail wise about this movie because I haven't seen it in a long time. But like just the whole idea of prohibition, like actually having an effect on the way like on the way America functioned back, like especially like during that era, during the 1910s and 20s.
Yeah.
Like how that became such a big thing and actually amplifying danger and crime and enhancing like these crime families, these mob families to a much bigger level than like actually having and regulating alcohol throughout our history would have actually prevented,
So this one is just like a straightforward drama or
It's a crime,
thriller?
It's a crime thriller, yeah.
Like no comedy, no nothing in it. It's just straightforward.
I mean, there's always going to be like the little bits of Coen Brothers comedy in it, but it's more of a. I mean, I'd say this is probably their most serious film, like
really?
back in the '90s era at least.
And it was good.
Yeah, I remember it being very good. I distinctly remember the score from Carter Burtwell.
Oh, really?
Being like excellent. So definitely check out Miller's Crossing. I'm definitely going to check this one out again pretty soon. But definitely the next one that I'm excited to get into. And I know you are too.
Yeah.
Is Barton Fink.
Yeah.
Barton Fink is their 1991 film starring John Turturro. Kind of started there. I mean, John Turturro. I don't know if John Turturro was in Miller's Crossing.
I think he was in Miller's Crossing.
Yeah. But this is the one that kind of put him in the forefront of the Coen Brothers films, and to me, this is hilarious. To me, this is one of the funniest movies they've done.
Right? Like I was cracking up the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just like it starts off kind of like realistic and grounded and stuff. And you're like, okay, it's about this playwright from New York moving to Hollywood.
Right.
To write a B movie, wrestling movie.
Right.
But then it just goes off the rails and nuts in a way that you can't really like predict. And that's what I like about Coen Brothers movies. Like you don't know what's gonna happen. They don't follow like the same like through line as like other movies. Like okay, now this is the downfall, and like well, and this is gonna happen.
Right.
With this, it just like throws stuff at you.
Right.
Like literally, and then you're just like, oh, like now the movie took a turn. Now we're on this ride.
No, I like for me, Barton Fink. always represented the kind of absurdity of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Especially with this guy, this guy from New York. He's like he's a famous playwright. And the idea of him coming to Hollywood to focus on making screenwriting so he could become, because that's where the real money is,
Yeah.
Is fascinating because it kind of shows like the kind of brokenness and the weirdness and like the kind of bullshit that you have to go through to like actually get a successful pitch like through like the entire time he's like trying to pitch this movie to get off.
Yeah. But I feel like it was the Coen brothers like writing about themselves because like at this point they did 3 movies or no, they did 2 because I think they wrote this while they were writing Miller's Crossing or like shooting Miller's Crossing.
Oh, really?
And so it's like them after Raising Arizona hit. I can see them like a studio coming in and be like, okay, what do you have next?
Right.
And like let's move you out to Hollywood. Like they're born and raised in New York, and let's go out to Hollywood and write the next big thing.
Right.
Meanwhile, they're just trying to stay grounded and say like, how can I like keep myself like even in the movie like Barton Fink moves to Hollywood, but he still lives in like a shitty hotel.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want to live the Hollywood lifestyle just yet. He wants to what he calls the common man.
Right. And because like that's the whole idea of like trying to be from like the whole idea of somebody trying to commute from New York to LA is always like, oh, there's there's usually a glamour to the city that kind of gets stripped away like very quickly.
Yeah, there's not even shots of that in the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Like you think of because it's set in the 40s, so you think like like Columbia Pictures, like a opening shot of like
RKO or something.
Yeah. But there's not that. It's just like literally like he just lands in the hotel and sees Steve Buscemi like as the bellhop like right away, and he's like, "You staying or are you transplant?" And he's like, "All right," and his place is a shithole.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's crazy to me. I think that this movie actually has a lot to say about the art of screenwriting in and of itself. How there's a level of inspiration that you kind of need in the whole process of writing. But like how the lack of inspiration kind of fuels more insanity, like within like yourself. You know what I mean? The idea of writer's block being like. You're so like jammed against the wall, like you're really trying to figure out a story. You're just driving yourself insane trying to find like what you're gonna do next, what's gonna be translated on the page next. That you just end up ruining the entire film or the entire project yourself, you know what I mean? Or the entire thing, like all on your own, like, or you just end up ruining yourself mentally, just in general.
Well, literally, like he goes through hell.
Yeah.
Like at the end, like his world is up in flames.
Well, with John Goodman being he's an insurance salesman, but was he like a anti-communist or
no? He's literally like a serial killer.
Yeah,
he cuts the heads off of people.
Oh yeah. I just love every time he like knocks on the door and like and comes and randomly just busts into his apartment.
Oh, and again with real time too. Like when you first meet John Goodman, John Turturro's sitting at his desk writing on the typewriter. He can't write anything. He starts hearing a guy crying on the other side of the wall.
Right.
Then he calls the bellhop and say, "Hey, there's a guy next door. He's kind of loud," but he doesn't like explicitly complain. He's like, "He's not bothering me, but like you just want to check on him."
Right.
And then the camera just stays on the wall, and then it follows. This is where like the sound design comes in. It follows John Goodman like walking out of his room down the hallway into Barton Fink's door, and like all in like one shot.
You just hear that, but it's like tracked through. Yeah.
That's what I loved, and I was like, because then like with that real time buildup, you feel how John Turturro's character Barton Fink
is he like lying in bed or is he just like sitting there?
Oh, I think he was just sitting on his bed like after hanging up the phone because it happened so fast. But like in real time, you're like, holy shit, this guy just got up. He's walking over here, and now he's in front of my door.
Right.
And now he's knocking on the door. And like, because if it was just like a quick cut, it wouldn't be as impactful. It wouldn't
be effective, yeah.
But, or were you going to say?
Oh, no, I was going to say, like, I think they use a lot of the qualities of like thrillers and like noir films. Kind of is the inspiration. I think that's where they get kind of the creativity to build up the suspense in that way.
Yeah, it was very noir-ish.
Yeah.
But I'll say about this, like with the writing and stuff, like I think it's hilarious because Barton Fink thinks he's like God's gift to humanity as a playwright, as a screenwriter.
Right.
And that's what like everyone who comes into Hollywood is.
Right.
They're like, oh, I have the next best script. I have like the perfect screenplay, like first draft. I'm going to make this original movie. It's going to change Hollywood forever. And that's what but in reality, he's just writing a B-movie wrestling movie. Even the guy's like, what's there to write? Like the guys fight, and either he has to save the woman or he saves an adopted child or whatever, or an orphan. And but like John Turturro, he's like, no, I'm making art, I'm creative. And then, but when like how you're talking about inspiration, he wouldn't let John Goodman's character get a word off. Where John Goodman's literally saying like, oh man, I have stories. Like you want to hear these stories, I have them, and then he cuts them off.
Yeah.
And then,
it's like being so inside of your own head, like
yeah. But then that's what you're saying, like inspiration, like so the inspiration thing's bullshit. Where he's saying, like, I want to live amongst the common men, but I don't want to listen to them.
He don't want to talk to him. He doesn't want to associate with them. That's true. Yeah, I guess I never looked at it from that.
Well, he's literally like John Goodman's like, I have these stories, like. Because Barton Fink doesn't know wrestling, but he's writing a movie about wrestling.
Right.
And John Goodman's like, oh, I was a wrestler.
Yeah.
Like, and they literally like wrestle. He's like, here, I'll teach you how to wrestle so you can like write it, explain how to write it in your screenplay and stuff. And John Turturro's like, I don't want to do that. So that's when writers are like full of shit because like they say they want the inspiration, they say they want to do all these things, but when it actually happens and it's actually like right in front of them, they're so full of themselves where they can't see it. So that's what I thought was really interesting, and it was like a commentary of the Coen brothers saying like, writers are full of themselves, and like I don't want to be full of myself as Barton Fink is. Right.
I mean, I think they took like some real life inspirations from people like William Faulkner, who's one of those like notorious I guess he wrote what's the famous book that he wrote?
I can't think of it right now, but that name sounds so familiar.
Yeah, he wrote the one. I mean, everybody had to like read it in high school. I'm trying to think. What is it called? As I Lay Dying. And he was one of those writers that was very much like was supposed to be an egotist. You know what I mean? Like supposedly. So I mean that just plays into the deeper theme of it. There's a book I've been sitting here trying to Google this entire time. There's a book that is not this movie's not based on, but has a very similar story of like a screenwriter coming to L.A.
Barton Fink?
Yeah.
Like an actual book was?
There's not a book. It's not based on a book, but there's a book that has a very similar kind of premise. Okay. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I've been trying to sit here and Google it.
No, but I just think that's what I picked up from the movie, where like he was cutting the other guy off, and then at the very end when he writes the screenplay and he gets it made, or he doesn't get it made, but he finishes it, and then he goes to like. What's it called when like the Navy comes into town?
Martial law?
No. Like, because they're on a break or something, and they come into town. They have like parties and stuff, and all the women sleep with them.
Right.
I forget what it's called. Yeah. But like they're at a party, they're dancing, and Barton Fink's dancing with a woman, and then a naval guy comes up. He's like, "Hey, can I take this dance?" He's like, "No, I just finished a screenplay. I'm celebrating. It's my time." Like this guy just got back from war. He just wants to dance with a woman. He's like, "No, I am a creative."
Yeah, no, it definitely is a commentary on how like film people think they're so much better than everybody.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. They absolutely. I think this movie actually ended up influencing. I think Charlie Kaufman, the guy who wrote. I don't know if you've seen
Adaptation.
Adaptation, yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I hear good things.
Yeah, no, that's one of my favorite movies. But it's also a kind of a self-reflexive movie about a screenwriter who can't write the screenplay.
Nicolas Cage comes up with writer's block.
Yeah. And I think this movie kind of ends up lending a lot of thematic elements to something like Adaptation, or a lot of Charlie Kaufman's work. The kind of like surrealist, like.
Does it get like Adaptation gets pretty surreal, and it's like he gets in his own head type thing?
Adaptation is more meta. Like it's literally him trying to write the movie that we're watching. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, he's trying to write an adaptation of like this book based on flowers. It's like a flower book. And then he's trying to write an adaptation based on this flower book, and then that's why it's called Adaptation. He's trying to write this adaptation of this book, and then in the meantime, they actually show what he's writing as a real story with Meryl Streep and another character. So it's like he's writing a movie about a real life. I don't. It's weird. I can't really explain it.
But it's the movie we're watching.
But yeah, like because at the end it's like, oh, I can't finish the screenplay, and he has his twin brother. I can't remember the name. I think his name's Donald. And the whole movie, his brother Donald's like, we should end the movie on like an alligator chase, and like we have to, it gotta be an alligator chase, ask some action.
And that's how the movie ends?
That's how the movie actually ends. So I think he's trying to tell you that he's writing the movie that you've been trying to watch. Yeah, so it's a fun movie. It's actually really great. I think it gets a little too meta. That's my problem with it. But but definitely something like Barton Fink plays directly into what that movie's doing.
I love Barton Fink for the humor, the performance by John Turturro, the performance by the Columbia Pictures guy. He was nominated for an Oscar for that.
Yeah, what was his name?
I don't know his name. Even at the end too, because like they went to war and he's like, oh, I don't know if John Turturro asked him. He's like, you enlisted? He's like, no, I just picked this up from costuming.
Let's go. Dude's name is Michael Leaner. Michael Leaner.
That's the actor's name?
The actor's name,
yeah. He was great as like the smarmy, like just like studio head. He's like just fast talking, another fast talking Coen brother archetype.
Yeah, right.
He's like, you got money, you got ideas. That's what writers are like the highest paid people here because we need them. We need writers, but then like they just come up with any bullshit story for a wrestling movie.
Yeah. No, I think this movie's hilarious. I think it even goes to reflect, in many ways, the what we see later in the Coen Brothers film with Hail Caesar. Hail Caesar's kind of like the studio version from the studio's perspective, like this side of it. I feel like a lot of their work is reflective. I didn't even mention this in like Raising Arizona, but how you mentioned Raising Arizona, how he's like escaping from prison. It's the same thing in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? How there has to be that prison escape too. So their films kind of collapse on each other, which is dope.
They kind of repeat themselves.
Repeat. I think some thematic similarities, but often like with a different kind of approach to them. So.
Oh, sorry. Another funny line I thought was in Barton Fink, where like he finishes the screenplay and the studio head reads it. He's like, I need a wrestling movie. I need a guy wrestling with himself.
Yeah.
Like his inner monologue. I don't need him wrestling with his like inner demons. I just need a fucking wrestling movie. I just think I can picture like a studio head saying that.
Yeah. No, I mean it's very accurate to very true to the Hollywood machine. The next film in their filmography is The Hudsucker Proxy. You checked this? Did you manage to check this one out? I know we talked about it.
Yeah, I saw this a couple days ago.
For the
first time, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's pretty weird, right?
Yeah, this one I wasn't a huge fan of.
Yeah.
But like I wanted to like it, but I feel like with Barton Fink and Raising Arizona and Blood Simple, like they have these like sympathetic characters. Like you care for them, even though they are flawed in some way. But like there wasn't really anyone to care about in Hudsucker Proxy because they keep mentioning that Tim Robbins' character is like an imbecile and he's an idiot. But so like I didn't really care for him.
Right.
Because like at parts he was an idiot when you've seen it, right? Where like he starts doing the thing like he thinks that girl's from Mincy, Arizona or Mincy, Minnesota or something, and he does that whole like Eagles. Yeah. Like, oh, this guy is pretty stupid, and so like why do I care about him?
I mean, I just care. I care about the whole idea of this dude inventing the hula hoop and just like. I think the corporate side of it kind of makes me laugh a lot.
Yeah,
like the way he kind of pitches it to him and how I don't know. It just kind of ends up becoming a whole series of events. Like
it was a running joke too. He's like, because he just showed the paper of a circle, and he's like, get it for kids.
Yeah,
and that's just like gets mentioned throughout the whole movie. It's like for kids.
Right.
But I feel like in the very beginning when he first gets the job and like he's doing the orientation through the hallway in the basement,
right,
where the guy's like, you do anything, you're gonna dock your pay. I feel like that's like a whole like statement of like capitalism and just like people working. You know, even in the very beginning too, where it's like he's looking at the job board and it says like needs experience or needs 5 years experience for any job or anything. And he couldn't apply for anything because he had no experience. He's like fresh out of college.
Right.
And I thought that was it started building up these like great ideas, but then I feel like it didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah. It doesn't. I mean, it's not like one of their sharpest films, but I also think that I don't know. This movie makes me laugh so much just for Tim Robbins just being like the most. He kind of has like the stoicness to him, where like he doesn't really fully show how he's feeling, but it's also like very expressive, like comedically too. I don't know. There's a weird balance. Like I always think to just like the kind of like optimism that he has just as a character, just overall.
Yeah.
Of course, that comes from his imbecileness, like his stupidity, but
His naivete.
his naivete. Ooh, that's a good word. Yeah, but it's kind of influenced by that.
And there's like little things that just like made me bust up laughing when like he's getting a haircut or his face shaved and they're like literally interviewing him after he had this success, and like the guy holds his nose and he starts talking like that just for like 2 sentences. I thought that was like the funniest thing ever. I don't know why.
Yeah, and
But I feel like Sorry to Bother You was kind of influenced by this, but I don't know.
Definitely, 100%.
Okay,
100%.
I'm not just like grasping at straws here.
The whole corporate thing, the whole idea of like rising up against like
Yeah,
or
Like-
trying to at least rise up against who the
Like-
people who kind of oppressing you.
yeah, like capitalism in general. Like you
Yeah.
start from the bottom, like, and then there's a joke in Hudsucker Proxy, like it takes 50 floors up, only 30 seconds down, or something like that. And it's just like, yeah, like you can spend your whole life climbing to the top, and then but the guy jumps off the building. It takes 30 seconds to end it all.
Right.
It's dark as shit, but like it's true.
It's real life, man. That's
Yeah.
real life for like these corporate people, man.
yeah.
So I can't work a 9 to 5.
Nah,
I just can't do it.
You're not about that life.
I can't do it, man.
You don't think you'll ever work a 9 to 5?
Well, I probably will, but it's just like, fuck, man. I'm not looking forward to it.
Right? That's because, like, you think about it, you break it down. You're like, okay, I work. Well, it's not 9 to 5. It's like 8 to 5 because of our lunch.
Right.
So I have to get up at 6 to get on the road by 7.
Yeah.
And then I clock in at 8. I get off at 5, and then another hour at home, or another hour to get home.
Traffic, yeah.
So like from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's just my whole life, and that's that's Monday through Friday.
Right.
And then for what? Like for like 2 days on the weekends where I can run errands and do laundry and do all this other shit. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do if you're not gonna do 9 to 5?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I just think that's just. I mean, I don't look forward to it, man. But you're killing it, man. So you're having a good time.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I feel it, man.
But no, I'm doing fine because I enjoy, for the most part, what I'm doing, because like the stuff I learned in college, I'm applying right now. So I am working like in the audio world, but it's still like fuck, like I'm doing the same thing. It's kind of like a assembly line. You're like where it's like clock in, do this, and then go home, and then you listen to the same radio. The same music on the radio, and then it's just like Office Space, where it's like day in day out the same thing, and it just kind of gets like not nonsensical, but just like funny. Like that's what I feel like the Coen Brothers bring. They're like, the world is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like when you sit back and look at it, like just like the smaller things are just like absurd. That's what I'm looking for. Absurd. That's what I like absurdity. And just looking at life in general, it's just like this whole life is absurd. Like we're doing this day in and day out for what? To make money for the guys above us, to make them look good. Right. And then literally like if we die tomorrow, like they'll just replace us like we meant nothing to them.
Right.
And it's pretty sad. But
yeah. But that's just the reality of America right now, man.
That's capitalism.
Capitalism, corporatism. Yeah, man, it's fucked up. Damn, I mean, this is totally unrelated, but when you talk about like just toss them off to the side, man. Think about my guy Kevin Hart, bro.
What do you mean?
Kevin Hart.
Toss him out. Oh, like we don't need him for a host. Like we'll just find another guy.
Yeah, we'll just. Which, by the way, I don't defend Kevin Hart. I think he should have been fired. In the same way that I think James Gunn should. You remember we were roommates at Comic-Con when the whole James Gunn thing broke.
Yeah, it broke like on Comic-Con that Thursday or something.
Yeah. And you remember one of the first things I said, I was like, this dude got to get out of here. You're like,
what do you mean he's got to get fired from Disney? Oh, shit,
yeah. I told you, I felt that way. Like, I felt he should have been fired.
Yeah.
But
I forgot he was like tweeting though. Like I don't know his exact tweets, but
there's just a bunch of like child predator shit. Like
yeah, it was gross.
Yeah, it was
like,
super gross.
Ejaculate like super like graphic, and then like with a child, and I'm like, why is it? Like, it's not even funny.
It's not even funny. And then I just think I defend neither. Like F Kevin Hart, F James Gunn, I just think it's kind of fucked up that like I saw the entire internet defend James Gunn over the summer and not a single peep for Kevin Hart.
No one defended him?
Yeah, nobody. except for maybe like Nick Cannon, because what Nick Cannon did, he put out
Sarah Silverman's tweets.
Sarah Silverman, Amy Schumer, like a bunch of other comedians, their past tweets and how they used
the F word,
homophobic language, and I think it's just fascinating that people want to like claim this whole like diversity wave thing, like, oh, we're pro getting diversity, but like you don't want to deal with the consequences of something like a Kevin Hart, who when you read his book and when you actually learn about him as a person, the conditions that he grew up in were a very, very traditional patriarchic like black family, which is like a lot of times rooted in homophobia. So the reason I'm conflicted with Kevin Hart is because like that's part of his background, and
like he was raised that way.
Yeah,
just because that's how you were raised back then.
Right,
or like,
right.
Yeah.
But then that's why I think like you should fire him, because like we don't want to promote that kind of behavior in the black community right now. But at the same time, I feel like nobody's taking that into consideration.
Taking what into consideration? His background and how he was.
Yeah, I mean, just taking the whole black patriarchy idea into consideration, because that's a big. I mean, homophobia is a big thing. Like a big negative thing for a lot of black communities. I mean, that's why we saw something like Moonlight. Why Moonlight was so impactful for a lot of people.
Because it is like it's even more rough for like a black kid to come out as gay.
Yeah. So that's why I feel like the circumstances haven't been communicated. And he tried to communicate those circumstances in the past interview in like 2015.
Is that the one he was talking about? He's like, I apologize for this like previously.
Yeah. And he kind of detailed exactly what I'm kind of saying. Like, it's less about him being homophobic, but just his own insecurities. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of so, but. It just blows my mind. It blows my mind that you see motherfuckers putting like hashtag rehire James Gunn.
Free
like
James Gunn.
Yeah, free James Gunn. What the? When this dude's literally tweeting shit like a Jack, all this kind of nasty shit. And they found photos of him like showing up to like some like
dressed as a priest in a child molester or something.
Yeah. What's going on here?
Yeah, that's some deep rooted shit.
Is that not more fucked up than than what Kevin Hart did? So I don't know.
But what you're saying, I don't think people like take into consideration like his background, and what you're saying is like no one wants to like dive deep and like go into it and look it up and do all that.
Right.
They just want to see like, oh, he didn't apologize.
Yeah.
So they're looking at surface level things.
Yeah.
Where like these came out, Academy wanted him to apologize, he didn't. So now because of that, people think he is homophobic, because like he didn't apologize for his tweets back then.
Right. Which is also a little ridiculous to me, because if you look at the most surface level thing that he does, his movies, his most recent movie, Night School, Tiffany Haddish character is a lesbian.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His co-star is a LGBTQ like representation. Like
wait, Tiffany Haddish is lesbian or the character?
Tiffany Haddish's character is a lesbian.
Oh, okay.
In the film. So it's just like but that's nobody has mentioned that.
Yeah.
And that's the film that he wrote, he produced, he stars in, he puts his name behind.
Yeah.
So he obviously has shown growth, and he's obviously addressed these issues in the past.
It's also weird because like people want change to happen so fast, where it's like how you're saying he was born and raised that way. And like my parents and like people like their friends and family, like they're so stringent on like how like their beliefs and everything. Like they don't want to change because they don't have to. They don't care.
Right.
But like our little like millennials and all our little generation wants everything changed so quickly.
Yeah.
And now you're saying he can't. Well, he can change, but it's like it just takes time for them to like accept that. And it's like, and if you don't think that, then you get ostracized. But it just takes time, and it's rough to change like someone's whole like thinking, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I just ponder, do people want change, or do they just want people to get fired? Like that's kind of why I really question here.
Or do they want to be outraged for just be upset?
Just be upset. But I don't know. That's just something that that's been troubling my mind as of late. But I don't know. But you're kind of talking about how Sucker Prosty is about like how the disregard of people just kind of happens. And I feel like that's a lot of what's happening here. And again, I'm not defending Kevin Hart. I don't think he should host the Oscars anyway. And I especially don't think he should after like those tweets or whatever. But I'm just saying like. I see a glaring lack of defense for him as compared to somebody like James Gunn, who I think did things much worse.
People, I don't know what the outcry was for Brett Ratner when he was supposed to produce the Oscars, and he can't. There's a video of him saying like rehearsing is for the F word. And then he got fired for do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I definitely remember because Eddie Murphy was supposed to host, right?
Yeah.
And
then Brett Ratner said that shit, and then he got let go. But I don't remember, like, I don't know if Twitter was like big around that. I don't even know when that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they replaced him. Brian Grazer, I think, produced it. I forget who they got to.
I think it was Brian Grazer. Yeah.
But I don't know who hosted it though.
Was that the same year? I think that was the same year that they had. It wasn't Chris Rock.
Was it?
It might have been.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
But yeah, that's the thing. Like at the same time too, Kevin Hart didn't need to host the Oscars. He sells out theaters. Like theaters for his stand up and theaters for his movies.
Yeah.
So like he didn't need to do this bullshit gig where everyone's just gonna hate on him, even if he's good.
Yeah.
Like no one's gonna be like, wow, he did a great job. Everyone's just gonna be like, oh, wasn't that great?
Yeah.
So like it was a lose-lose anyway. So it's like they'll just pick up and get another one. But
I mean, does the rest of his career get affected by this whole controversy too, though? Like,
I don't think so, because people forget like the week after.
Yeah. Especially, I thought his career was over when he cheated on his wife with like those fucking prostitutes, man. That was
really?
Are the strippers?
I don't remember. And like she was like pregnant or something.
Yeah.
But I think Michael Che on SNL said something like Mel Gibson was just nominated for an Oscar like a few years ago for a great movie though. I enjoy the movie, but I don't condone what he says. Even on tape, he's like smile and blow me and all that. Yeah, but people forget.
Yeah, people forget, man. People forget. F Kevin Hart, F James Gunn.
And Mel Gibson.
F them all, man. Let's move on to Fargo. That was we drifted off pretty far. These are the moments I love on this podcast. Ace gets annoyed whenever I just drift off into something like...
Yeah, whatever, man. It's your podcast.
Hey, man, we're having fun. But Fargo is a very big film in the lineage of the Coen brothers. This is probably their most critically acclaimed. I'm not sure if it was their first. I think it was their first Best Picture nomination as a duo, and definitely Best Director for. At the time, they just gave Joel the credit for directing,
and then Ethan for producing.
Yeah, Ethan for producing. But this movie ended up winning Best Lead Actress for Frances McDormand. Ended up winning Best Original Screenplay for the Coen brothers themselves. This movie has a lot to say, and it reveals an awful lot about the ideas behind the Coens, the kind of the level of self-reflexiveness that they put into their films, while also making genuine stories about like the corruption and the bearing of like American greed and all that kind of stuff. What do you think? What do you think of Fargo, though?
I'll go into like a little story.
Yeah.
Sorry about the little story, but
no, give me stories.
When this was the first movie, like before this, I was just seeing like random bullshit movies. Like, you know, as a kid, like you see Disney movies and like all that stuff, and like whatever you see on TV, little things here and there. But then freshman year of community college, I took a film class, motion picture appreciation, and the teacher put this movie on, and it just like opened my eyes to like a movie that can be good and like say more than what it is, and like there's like, and the humor too, like this is my sense of humor, like dark, funny, like annoying, like Steve Buscemi's character is annoying. He's like, you stop talking, I don't care, you I'm not gonna say anything, you say anything, I'm not gonna say anything. And it's just like little things like that. I was like, this, like, movies can be great. And this is what like got me into movies. Like I know Avatar is the movie that got you into movies. This is my movie.
Fargo's that movie?
Yeah, 2008 is when I first saw it.
2008. Okay, so 20 years? Not 20 years. 12 years after it came out?
Yeah, what was it? It came out in 96?
96, yeah.
Okay, yeah, 2008, just put it on. And I was like, like, you know, you take like motion picture appreciation, like, it's a bullshit class, or like you watch movies and shit. And this movie popped up, and I'm like, this is really good.
Yeah.
And then from that, I went on to like IMDb and saw like the top 200 films of all time, and I started seeing like all these classics and Kubrick and all this other stuff.
Okay.
like,
So this is the dive in point.
Yeah.
That's big. Hey, man, salute to Fargo, man.
Yeah.
Let's hit a round of applause for Fargo,
it's great.
man, in post.
Francis McDormand's great. Steve Buscemi, the guy who looks like Bruce Willis but isn't Bruce Willis.
Yeah. His homie.
William H. Macy's great too. I don't know if he was nominated for an Oscar too, but I felt like he was the perfect guy for that role.
Yeah. He's just like the right level of like swarmy, like kind of nice guy, but also like just a total asshole too. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, this movie is so interesting to me because when I first saw this movie, I was a little off put by like its structure. I thought the movie was going to be focused on William H. Macy's character throughout the entire time.
Yeah.
Until they kind of shifted on you and it focuses more on the Frances McDormand character.
Yeah, Marge.
Yeah, Marge. It's just so that switch. When I first watched it, I was like, whoa, what is this? Like,
so you didn't like it?
I liked it, but I guess I didn't appreciate it the same way because I watched it and I was like, that was an interesting movie, but just like off put by it, So then like I went back and but it was still there's still scenes like I think the scene, the first initial break-in scene when like the robbery is first being like staged or whatever. I think there's an amazing scene like just from a composition level.
Trying to think of the scene because I remember I edited because we had it. I took a Pro Tools class in college too, and they gave us this scene, and we had like sound effects we can like add to the scene and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that was like, but it was the break-in one. Was it when like the wife is in the shower,
or the wife? I think she was just vacuuming or whatever in the living. And then
she sees the guy like in
the window,
like breaking in, and she just like stares at him like in shock.
Yeah. To me, I was like, whoa, like that's the first time I've ever seen. I feel like a break-in scene like kind of portrayed in that way. Where like the person's literally seeing what's happening.
But it's funny though.
Yeah.
She's like, is this really happening?
Right. So like even though like I didn't like love the movie, I went back and like watched scenes like that scene, like scenes like the end when the dude gets shot in the face or whatever.
When Steve Buscemi gets shot.
Yeah.
In the parking lot. Or no.
No. Not William H. Macy. I guess just the whole scene when the whole like handoff goes wrong.
I can't remember that scene now.
You have to go back and look at the scenes.
I gotta watch this one.
Yeah, but the moments like those were just made me go back and like rewatch it. So I just ended up rewatching it all again and again over and over again. And I actually really love this movie. I think this is probably my favorite, if not like my second favorite. Coen Brothers movie,
nice
of all time as well, and definitely, I think one of the best movies of recent times.
Yeah,
because it merges so many different like styles. Like it's like a very realistic. Like they've portrayed like everything that's happening in a very realistic way. They kind of put the based on a true story thing at the very beginning. To kind of fool people into thinking this is an actual true story.
And it's bullshit, right? It's not.
Yeah, it's not based on anything. I guess there are pieces of the story that are based on real life events, like the wood chipper stuff. The wood chipper thing, I went back and rewatched a lot too.
That was the funniest scene to me too, because like from a filmmaking perspective too, because like in another bullshit movie, she would just yell and the guy would turn around. But like with this, like in real life, he can't hear her because the wood chipper is so loud.
Right.
And then he literally like she finally gets his attention, and then she's still yelling, but then she can't get her point across, and then she points to her hat and says like, "I'm the police." And I thought that was like the funniest thing, like just the look on Frances McDormand's face, and then like pointing it, like that makes a difference. And then he just takes off. He just takes off running. It was so funny to me.
No, the bearing of it. So I feel like it has a lot of those like they framed this movie almost as a stranger than fiction story, even though it is fiction. It's like fiction that's stranger than fiction. It's like extra levels of like like subversion almost, you know?
Like, what do you mean?
Like they like the whole idea of like doing like a based on a true story thing is that like you're dramatizing real life. Like you're taking a real life event and making it into a film. This is a film that is trying to emulate real life. You know?
Oh, they're trying to make it as real as possible, but
Yeah.
it's still same time like kind of sending it up.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes this film stand out amongst like everything that comes out recently, because they make it feel real, and it feels real because of the way the characters talk. I mean, it's very much like we talk about Midwest. This is Midwest. This is where they're from.
Is it Minnesota or North Dakota? Because I always get it confused.
I think it's Minnesota.
Because I want to say like but there's a Fargo, North Dakota.
I think so. I think Fargo is literally just the first scene in the movie.
Oh.
And then they never go back to it.
And then they just go to Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the accents are great. Frances McDormand's great. Like the scene too, where like she's trying to question those two like bimbo girls
the
at the
prostitutes.
bar.
Yeah.
And then that's what Coen Brothers always have. They have like a line that they kind of say over and over again, where it's like, he's just kind of funny looking.
Kind of funny looking. Yeah. Do you have? Is anything abnormal about him? You're just a little funny looking.
And then you see Steve Buscemi, and you're like, yeah, he is kind of funny looking. Like you can't like explain it, but like he's just funny looking.
Oh man, it's perfect. So I feel it dabbles in the realism, but also kind of some noirish elements too, like and suspense wise, or neo noir, I should say. The overall like snow, like white aesthetic, like Blanket Winter, kind of adds a level of spookiness to it too. Just everything that this movie does is brilliant to me. And it ultimately ended up going on to inspire one of the great TV shows that we have today too, with the Fargo series.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I've only seen the first season.
Oh, you only seen the first season?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
that was really good.
Yeah.
Michael Sheen? No. I forgot.
Bilbo Baggins. Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman. Yeah. He plays. That's another thing too. When they said they were going to make a TV series, I'm like, you can't have someone play like a William H. Macy type.
Right.
Like he just owned that character with like the quips and like the accent and all that stuff. Martin Freeman's really good in it, and the woman too in the first season that plays the cop. I don't know her name.
Yeah, I know.
But she was great in it too. Billy Bob Thornton was just like incredible.
Yeah.
As like sinister but like funny. Yeah, that's the kind of humor I like. Where like like that's another thing where like the world is just absurd, and it's just like, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I think you love season 2. Season 2,
it's good.
Kind of ups the absurdity significantly, but in a really good way.
Oh, that's what season 1 did too, because Cody was explaining there's like a kind of a supernatural element to season 1, where like literally like locusts fall from the sky, or no, not locusts, fish fall from the sky, and they kind of explain like, oh, a tornado picked up the lake and just kind of dropped the fish, but like there is this like biblical stuff of just like, oh, like and also like Billy Bob Thornton is kind of like harassing the Oliver Platt character with like all these other things. I think he does release locusts and like or like grasshoppers or something
like that. Yeah.
Into his the supermarket and just stuff like that, where it just gets kind of like fantastical.
Yeah.
But it's still grounded and still real and still like, and that's the thing too with Martin Freeman's character. Like he's kind of a piece of shit, and well. Spoilers for that show too. He kills his wife in the first episode, but like for some reason you still root for him.
Still root for him, and that's what makes this movie the most fascinating. You like even in the beginning, like you're rooting for William H. Macy, even though he's literally setting up his wife to get kidnapped so he could like pay off some like financial debts, right?
Is that what? So because his wife's dad's rich.
Yeah.
So he wanted to kidnap his wife, take the ransom money, but to pay off just debts in general?
I guess, yeah. I mean, that's just what I took from it.
Okay.
I mean, I just saw him as being like this like used car salesman, like just trying to get ahead or whatever.
And he's getting shit on at work, like he couldn't sell anything.
Yeah. Which all those scenes are hilarious too. But yeah, I think it's just overall it represents like the stride for the American dream, right? Like the attempt to like get to the top, to make money.
I never noticed that in Coen Brothers movies.
Yeah. No, I think that's one of the most consistent things I take away from it, at least from their films, at least. And I think particularly with this one is like them really putting that to the forefront. But yeah, I think it's just how we try and go so far to pursue what we consider like Americana, you know,
Yeah.
and how William H. Macy's downfall kind of results in that.
From himself.
Yeah, from himself.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
his own, like suffering his own consequences. You know.
He doesn't die at the end, right?
No, but
Okay.
his wife dies.
Okay.
And see that's also what, you know, even though he's such a piece of shit, like you do just root for him because you just want to be like, all right, I hope everything just works out.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Just please don't like hurt, like don't let the wife die or whatever.
Yeah.
But you kind of know too at the same time, like you already know where it's kind of headed.
Yeah. Like stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
They set all this up for like shit's gonna go down.
Mm-hmm.
But so Steve Buscemi gets put through the wood chipper,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or no? Or is he the one putting the person through the wood chipper? I haven't seen this movie in a while.
I haven't seen it in a minute either.
Yeah, but he and the Bruce Willis looking guy, they both die.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
One ends up in the wood chipper, one gets shot by Marge.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, and one of the funniest things from the TV show too is like the hitmen are played by Adam Goldberg and another guy, and the other guy's deaf, and so
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
yeah, and so like when they kill people, they literally just like drill a hole in the ice and just drop the guys in it, and in one scene, I think they have Martin Freeman and the deaf guy is drilling the hole. But Martin Freeman gets away, and there's like this whole fight behind the guy drilling the hole, but he's not moving because he can't hear
You can
anything.
hear it, yeah.
And it's so like staged great, and like it looks great because it's like it is in like this open space. I just thought that was really funny too.
Yeah, no. The show's perfect. The movie's perfect.
Yeah.
And definitely one of the best. Also, I think the ending of this movie, and we haven't kind of mentioned like I feel like the endings to all of the Coen Brothers movies kind of tell us what the movie's about.
Yeah.
Essentially, the ending of this movie kind of perfectly reveals to me like what the Coen Brothers' whole like ideology is. Kind of, to me, it just reflects that their whole philosophy on life is just that shit happens, you know, like they just like no matter how dire the circumstances, Marge just comes home to her husband talking about like what was he talking about painting something for the station or whatever.
Were they painting a room for their child or something?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
But she literally just like crawls into bed.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Like after seeing all these fucking murders and all this shit, and I just feel like that's just their overall thing.
Yeah. That guy's great too. That guy's been in a lot of stuff. I don't know his name, but he's been in like Fincher movies and stuff too.
Yeah.
I think his name's Carol, or like the character's name Carol. For some reason that name popped in.
Carol.
But yeah, like he's literally like home all the time. Every time Marge comes home, she just crawls into bed and is like, "All right, another day at work."
Work, yeah. Like what kind of shit? It's again that misperception. Everybody's so nice out there in Milwaukee, but
Yeah.
there's really murder and deceit, and she just living with it.
Yeah.
But I feel like the whole like attitude of like, shit happens, you know. Like I feel like that definitely permeates in like their next film, the most, Big Lebowski.
Okay.
Now, Big Lebowski to me is my favorite comedy of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
This movie makes me laugh uncontrollably, and I just love the surrealism in this one too. It kind of makes so little sense that like is almost more entertaining in that sense, you know.
That's what you like, that it just doesn't make any sense and it kind of just goes with it.
Yeah. It just kind of like, even though like you could poke holes in like this story or like find like why did this happen or this, but to me it's just like you're like when you're in the ride, like you're just in it. You know? And I really appreciate it.
See, I only saw this movie once, and I think I have to see it again because I wasn't like on board for it because it kind of did get like trippy, and I felt like I had to like smoke weed or something to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because at one point, like there's like a whole dance sequence or something.
With Julianne Moore and the bowling pins.
Yeah, and she gets like giant on screen, and like he's literally like flying under her legs.
Yeah, or a bunch of the feet, like bunch of women are have their legs open. He's just like lying under. Like.
That's what I feel like. Okay, the Coen Brothers like huge stoners, and they just like they're just like life, you know?
It's
crazy, right?
Yeah. But that's the weird. That's the trippy scene. I think that scene is definitely there to highlight the absurdity of like of just their kind of aesthetic in general, of their tone in general throughout this film.
What kind of stuff makes you like laugh out loud in the movie?
I always laugh the first for one when they break into his house and he's just like sitting in the tub like smoking a joint and they like fuck up his rug and
He
like,
pees on the rug.
Yeah. Like to me that's just hilarious. Like the fact that the robber's first move is to pee on his nice rug and he's just like, man, I gotta get a new rug. Like it's just like a bunch like there's so much happening here.
Yeah.
And Lebowski cares about the most nonsensical shit. Like, oh man, this rug really tied the room together. Like, bro, like there's literally people like trying to kill you right now. Like,
They literally think you're a different person and they're trying to kill you for that.
yeah.
You just care about the stupid rug that ties the room together. Like, how does it tie a room together?
I think every character makes me laugh in a different way. Like John Goodman plays like the super like pro NRA like
intense dude.
Yeah. Intense. Like he's based on a real person too.
Oh really?
A real director. I think the director Walter Hill, if I'm not mistaken. But is based on a real Hollywood type who is an actual like gun-toting like literal person in Hollywood.
Yeah, their relationship, John Goodman and Donnie, Steve Buscemi's character.
Yeah,
like that. Just it's funny because now like Steve Buscemi's kind of like a kid,
yeah,
right next to John Goodman.
And he keeps saying, "Shut the fuck up, Donnie." Like, oh man, moments like that make me laugh out loud. The "shut the fuck up, Donnie's." Whenever John Goodman goes on some rant about Vietnam or whatever, it just kills me.
And like unprovoked too. Like they're just bowling.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for it. Like nobody asks like, hey, how's it going? You know? He's just like, but that's what people in real life, they just kind of just tell stories. Yeah. And you're just like, I didn't ask you a fucking thing.
Yeah.
But like now you're going off this whole diatribe of like how life was in the war.
Yeah. And you just know like half the shit he's saying is bullshit because he'll like contradict himself like and within the same story, you know?
Yeah.
And also John Turturro is like the Jesus guy.
With the bowling ball?
The bowling balls. It's everything, man. Everything in this movie makes no sense.
No.
Like and also the real Lebowski, like the rich Lebowski guy, like being like this fucking like I don't know if he's crippled, but he's in a wheelchair. Just in one of those like mobile moving like wheelchairs or whatever.
And his daughter is a famous actress, right? It's not
Julianne Moore, I think, in that part.
It's not Drew Barrymore, is it? No, or what's the Juliette Lewis? It's not her. No, it's Tara Reid.
Tara Reid.
Yeah.
Tara Reid. Yeah. She keeps hitting on him throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges is great. There's a line that my brother and I kind of quote and makes us laugh, where he gets pushed in the limo, and I forget what he says, but he's like, "Hey man, not watch the leather because that's Dazed and Confused."
Yeah.
But he says something where he's like, "Hey," and he's got these stupid shoes on. Fuck, I can't remember the line he says.
Flops. Yeah. The scene too where John Goodman smashes up the car because he thinks the little kid stole the briefcase or whatever. He's like, no, like. I can't remember the exact quote that he says, but that whole scene is there's so many scenes in this movie that makes me laugh, like
really?
Extremely. To me, the biggest laugh does come at the end when like they have like Donnie's urns and then they're getting ready to spread them on the beach, and then John Goodman just starts shredding them, and then literally it all just is like Lebowski's face.
But like with the sound too, it just kind of like slaps him in the face. It's just like it's just like all at once, just like white, and Jeff Bridges doesn't even flinch.
He's still shaking the thing, and it just holds on the close up of Jeff Bridges like face. Oh man,
that's what I like. Like that's dark humor because like their buddy's dead and they're spreading his ashes, but it's like the wind picks it up and throws it in their face, and you're just like, well, that's life, you know?
Yeah.
Like when like crazy shit happens where you just have to be like, oh, that's life.
It's life.
You know?
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the. I don't know how many times have you seen the movie.
Too many times.
Really?
I have it on Steelbook, like collector's edition, Blu-ray or whatever. So
I got to see it again because the first time I didn't get the whole thing. Like, or I watched it, but I was like, I'm not on board fully.
Right.
I feel like I have to see it again to understand like all of it.
Right. I mean, it felt to me is the perfect stoner comedy in the way that you could be both sober and high to enjoy it to some extent.
Yeah.
But I think you probably get a little more benefit being stoned through it because there's so little connective tissue through most of it.
There's no real story, or there is.
There's
the
a story.
overall-
There's an overarching thing of paying the money to get the to clear his name or whatever.
Yeah.
But the money never they throw the beef fucking. John, I can't remember John. Walter.
Yeah.
Walter literally throws the fucking briefcase out of the window. They're gonna trade the money for one the fact that his idea was to take the money out of the briefcase and replace it with a briefcase full of socks to hand it to the people. It just all of it just makes me laugh. So.
Yeah.
I'm with it, man. That to me is one of my favorite Coen Brothers movies too.
I gotta see it again. As a film though, do they have moments where you're like, wow, that's great filmmaking, or is it just funny in general?
I think there is some great filmmaking. I think the surrealist elements are when their bread and butter kind of come out. You know, the whole thing with the Julianne Moore weird dream sequences that she drinks he drinks one of her drinks or whatever.
Yeah.
And he just completely loses his mind off of it.
Yeah.
And I think that illustrates a lot of. I just feel like they gave a lot of interesting moments to things that might have not been interesting otherwise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it also on a filmic level, it is kind of I don't want to say a parody, but it takes a lot from the noir genre, from the noir because. A lot of noir films are called The Big Sleep, The Big Thing, or whatever. This is The Big Lebowski because it's about this. It's a noir story essentially, just kind of borderline a parody of it.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So you kind of know how in noir films you kind of meet the girl who has a secret.
The dame.
The dame.
Yeah.
When you really look at the movie structurally, it is a noir movie. But it just kind of parodies and subverts a lot of the tropes of noir.
Literally, with the break-in scene, the hitman are coming for a briefcase or coming for something.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just executed in such a over the top with bowling and all this stupid shit.
Yeah.
They I think that's where the Coens their skill really hones in because they mask a lot of that underneath the absurdity.
Yeah.
But then when you really look at it, they have a great appreciation for genre, for genre conventions, but also know when to break enough genre conventions to make it feel original and new.
That's what I like. They I said this before. They don't care about trying to go too far. Where it's but then how do they know something's gonna work? You know, and
Right.
not all the time. Not 100% of the time it's not gonna work. But they still try and they still do these things. With Raising Arizona, they build this whole or chase sequence around picking up diapers. And how do they know in Big Lebowski this whole dream sequence of him floating through the space is gonna work as a movie.
Right.
And I guess they don't really care if people like it or not. They're not going for the money or anything. It is a business, they want to make money, but at the same time they're just fuck it, we want to make what we want to make. And it's just whatever makes them laugh, I guess.
Right. And yeah, so I think that's why they're such confident filmmakers and what they're trying to say and do is nothing but beneficial to me. So I really love their films.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say about Lebowski or?
No, I need to see it again to really appreciate it because the first time I didn't. It's not like I hated it. I just didn't get it as much as. The same with Fargo, you're was that a joke or was that not a joke? And it is a joke, and you're supposed to laugh at it. You're supposed to have fun with it.
Right.
But I need to see the Big Lebowski again. Now that you say it's based on a noir thing.
Yeah. I think that's something that they're really trying to mine. But yeah, no, I love this movie. And I always say, noir is kind of my favorite genre, overall. So and I think subconsciously, just emulating that format, I think I have a much bigger appreciation for it. But yeah, I mean, I think that just pretty much wraps up the end of this episode.
Nice.
Ryan, part one of the 2-part Coen Brothers episode. Thank you guys so much for sticking around for this long. It was a great conversation. I think we talked about pretty much. I think we gave a pretty good breakdown of everything. Hopefully part 2 be a little bit shorter, but we'll see. But yeah, no, thank you so much, Brian. Is there any like social media plugs or anything?
Sure. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Schmoes Beardo. I might be changing that soon because I'm not really part of the Schmoes anymore.
Right.
But
I've been thinking about that all the time.
Oh, you're still RB3 Schmoes, right?
RB3 Schmoes.
Yeah, I got to change my. I don't know what to change it to. But so for now, Instagram and Twitter, Schmoes Beardo, Wanger Show, iTunes, at YouTube and all that, Patreon, Wanger Show. Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, you guys know where you guys can follow me and Ace. We are this. I'm going to announce this at the end of the episode. Now, in the beginning of the next episode, we starting officially pretty much at the beginning of 2019. We will not be on Collider Podcast anymore. The YouTube channel, we will be having our own YouTube channel. Don't worry, the setup will be same, if not relatively similar. But in terms of the video aspect, we are not going to be on the Collider Podcast video anymore. We will have a link to our new YouTube channel in the description of not this video, then the next video. But yeah, we'll have it all straightened out. So thank you guys for listening to the Meaning Of Podcast. This is RB3.
This is Brian.
And thank you for watching. Peace out.